Okay, I have been trying to write notes for this video and trying to start filming for the past 3 hours. And I just have to start because there's so much I want to say on this topic. And honestly, I don't even know if I'll be posting this video. I am a little bit nervous filming this and will be a little bit nervous posting this, but it is probably the most important video that I will have posted on my channel at this point in time, if you're seeing this right now. So I want to talk about the concept of casual dating in our Western culture, in our society, whatever you want to call it. The plague that is taking over and ruining relationships, ruining polarity, ruining masculine, feminine polarity, ruining a lot for men and women alike. And what I want to start off by saying is that this is not to shame anyone, because I fell into the trap of being a girlfriend for a long time. Luckily, I never got caught up in, I guess people could think there's a difference between a committed relationship of boyfriend and girlfriend versus casual dating. But for the sake of this video, it's all casual dating. If you're not dating for marriage, you are dating casually. So that's what I want to clarify when I refer to it in this video. Okay, so I'm very spiritual, but I'm not religious. I respect religions, most religions' view on this. I don't know every religion's view, but the main religions in the world, I absolutely respect their view on this, especially even more now. And I want to talk about this because I help a lot of women. See, I'm nervous talking about this, but I help a lot of women date for marriage. And I help a lot of women break out of, I just want to call it low self-worth. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily their fault, especially if they're raised in a country that is infiltrated by the Western culture and the way that we do dating. There's gonna be a whole nother video about this, but self-love is forgiving yourself for not knowing something in the past and not beating yourself up, acting or making decisions on, without the knowledge that you have now. But self-love is also hearing something and digesting it, and if you come to the conclusion that yes, this way that this person is saying to do dating, for example, or to not go about dating, for example, is beneficial for me, and then you continue to ignore it, that's the opposite of self-love. So with all these little disclaimers, I just really want to get into it. So I want to start off by saying there's a concept that is very prevalent in the Western culture. I would say it is definitely a more liberal concept, but I don't want to get political. I'm just saying typically this is a more liberal concept, and also potentially, like a libertarian sort of idea of if it's not hurting anyone else, people can make whatever decision they want for themselves. And I am a very big supporter of free will, obviously, because I believe, God gives us free will. So whether you're religious or spiritual or whatever, we have the choice on what decisions we make. And so I think it's pretty obvious that we do have free will, right? But we also have free will to make good decisions for ourselves and bad decisions for ourselves. And so the concept of if it's not hurting anyone else, then, even if it's hurting me, as long as it's not hurting anyone else, then it's okay. And I want to call that idea out for complete BS. Because I believe that we are all connected. What we do to ourselves and how we treat ourselves completely reflects on everyone else in our lives. Even if you don't believe in the spiritual concept of oneness or connectedness or whatnot, let me just give an example. So if you think about a family and you think about a mother who is setting an example for her daughter, if she does not take care of herself, if she accepts abuse, if she lets people put her down, if she does not eat well, if she does not take care, just take care of herself in general. And you could say, oh, well, like she can make decisions for herself. As long as it's not hurting someone else, then she can do whatever she wants to. Really? Because she is showing her daughter, her son, whatever children that she has, that is acceptable, and she is raising them to believe that that is a totally fine way of life. Like that is the healthiest way to live. And that is hurting someone else. And so I want to challenge you that as women, especially as feminine women, we are setting the example for our sisters, for our friends, for our daughters. We're also setting the example for men. And I want to preface this by saying the way that I talk about high standards is the way to benefit both men and women. This is not like a free-for-all, women get whatever you want, manipulate men, get everything that you want from them, and you have no responsibility, and this is only to benefit women. No. That is not my prerogative, I guess you would say. Is that even the right word for that? But this benefits men the most and women the most, is whenever women don't accept less. Because whenever everyone gets to raise up to the next level, instead of stooping down and keep going down and down and down, and we get to do better and raise ourselves up, that benefits everyone. And that shows everyone that we can live better, have better relationships, have better health, whatever your goals are. Okay, so this is the issue here, is that, like I was talking about earlier, we like to think that a boyfriend and a girlfriend relationship is a committed relationship. And we like to think of that as, oh, well, I'm in a committed relationship. I'm not casually dating, because casually dating would imply, there's no commitment. It could be a situationship, a friends with benefits, or whatever the names are for nowadays, okay? They're all casual dating. There is no differentiation. And your body knows no differentiation, because that's not what we want. That is not what we want. And I'm going to go into women's empowerment in a moment. But especially as women, see, I'm talking to my feminine women out there, because I know as feminine women, we value relationships. That is probably one of our goals in life. Most people don't say, oh, my goal is to get married. But for feminine women, that is a big milestone and a goal, because that's something that we value. And so this is not to be taken lightly. This is how, in the Western culture, we can be manipulated into thinking that we are in commitment whenever you're a boyfriend and girlfriend. But that's not a marriage. And I wasn't going to announce this on here, but I did get married over a week ago. I was going to wait until the whole ceremony and everything to announce this, but I want to say that these realizations have really, really started to come to me after I ended up dating for marriage, getting out of a boyfriend-girlfriend situation, and am now married. I know I only have a week under my belt, but I can tell you from the process of dating for marriage and from my experience. And so just think about a breakup. Whenever you go through a breakup, if you've gone through one, our bodies and like our spiritual bodies do not know the difference. They think that this is basically a divorce. It's messy, it's emotional. Like, we were not meant to go through that over and over and over and over again. Like, maybe once if it was a worst case scenario and a divorce had to happen or someone passed away or something like that. That is when we were supposed to go through that. But now it's like, yeah, I have like this many exes and I had to go through this many breakups, and now I have trust issues from this, and that was super painful. It's basically like going through multiple divorces. Whenever you think about it that way, and you think about someone who has gone through multiple divorces, you think, wow, that sounds really painful. I mean, of course, there were lessons learned and stuff like that, but you're putting yourself through unnecessary trauma. Instead of being taught how to recognize, or first of all, instead of being taught how to become healthy, feminine women, we're being told and have been told that we need freedom. You know, the like sexual freedom, we need that. And we need feminism. And we need, you know, women are so oppressed if they don't have that. Really? You're oppressed when you're encouraged to value your sexual energy and value your body and value your feminine energy and value a relationship enough to wait until getting into a marriage with someone? Really? That's oppressive? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Because it sounds so backwards to me, especially now after like dating for marriage and doing things the right way. You know, I have experienced both. And what seems wrong, what I know is wrong, what is traumatizing women and men, is actually going through these relationships that our body is assuming that, like, okay, this is the person, like this is the person, right? You're attaching yourself to this person. You are, especially in the Western culture, you are leading with falling in love with someone and having those dopamine rushes and like adrenaline and having your, you haven't even done your inner work yet. So like your trauma and your wounds, your like open wounds are just being, having Band-Aids put on them because that person validates the hole that your trauma has created. It fills that hole for a little bit. Instead of you actually healing it, you search for that outside of yourself and find it in a relationship, and like all of these feelings take over. But whenever you're actually dating for marriage, you choose someone based on their values, their morals, what lifestyle they want, what do they want in their family life, and then you grow in love with them. Instead of basing it all off of this chemistry, which is really lust plus a reaction that is, like, let me give an example. If your parents made you feel unworthy of love growing up, you're always going to seek someone who also makes you feel unworthy of love in a relationship. Because a relationship is what mimics the parental dynamic in childhood, and you still have an inner child within you. So when you are searching for these relationships, let's say in this casual dating thing, it is very, very easy to find someone who is going to trigger that feeling that is comfortable, even though negative, comfortable to you, and then you're going to feel super comfortable. Oh, okay, I feel safe because I'm super comfortable with feeling unworthy of love because that's how my parents made me feel. So now I'm super safe with this person, and like it's this confusing, chemical reaction. I looked it up before I started this video. I was trying to find if there was an updated number, but the divorce rate is 50% in America. 50% of marriages. I believe it's 42% of first-time marriages. And then if you get divorced and then get married again, I believe that number gets higher and higher. So it averages out for all of marriages, it is a 50% divorce rate. 50. You have half of, 50%. You are just as likely to get divorced than you are to stay together. That's horrible odds. That's horrible odds. And for some reason, we think that we need to keep doing it exactly like how we're doing it. It is not empowering to not only women, but it's not empowering to men either, to be liberated and free and have this freedom. Okay, great. We have the freedom to traumatize ourselves more freely now, more easily. That's amazing. Wow. Bravo. Love that one. No. That is some sort of silent oppression. I don't know how to put it into words. But it's really sad. And it's a lie. And I'm just thinking out loud, but I'm like, this had to have been some sort of social experiment. Because no one did it that way. No one did it that way ever in history. And so now, in the past, let's say 50 years, we have decided that, oh, okay, even though for thousands of years we have operated in this other way, you know, for thousands of years, our lungs have used oxygen and breathed out carbon dioxide. But today, you know what? I think what we're actually going to do is tell our lungs to breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. Oh yeah, that's totally gonna work. Why are we trying to go against the way that our biology works? It makes zero sense. I've written a few things down, so I don't want to get off track. So let me just look what I am even rambling on about this point. I have so much to say in this video, so if I don't get to all of it, I will make a part 2. But I just have to get back on track. We want to blame it on, you know, oh, well, we need all this freedom now. We need this because for years it's been the patriarchy. For years it's been, you know, we have been so oppressed that we have not, you know, we had to wait till marriage. We had to get married to be with someone. But now we actually have the freedom to live with someone and be someone's placeholder for 10 years until they decide, oh, maybe I should marry this person. Maybe I should marry this person. But now you've taken yourself out of the dating game. What do you even call it? Off the market for 10 years, especially as a woman, right? And I don't want to, like, this is damaging for men and women. So I'm not trying to say, oh, women should be held to another standard. No. But the thing is that we are being told to prioritize career, prioritize degrees, masculine accomplishment. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Or I'm not saying there's anything wrong with women wanting to go get a degree or women wanting to have a career, have a job. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all. But we're being told that that's what our self-worth is based off of. We're not being told that our skills, I don't even want to say skills, but just our inherent urge, the feminine urge to be a mother, to be a wife, to be a homemaker as a feminine woman, or a housewife, or stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife, whatever you want to call it. Those are being demonized and treated as though they are cop-outs or they are something is wrong with us because now we're in competition with men. Do you see how all of this is connected? All of this is connected. The fact that women are not being valued for their femininity. Women are not being valued for our feminine qualities. These things are seen as secondary to the things that we can do in the masculine. Whereas for men, now masculinity is being demonized. Men being masculine is seen as oppressive, disgusting, patriarchal. It's seen as, you know, it's discouraged. And so now we're being pushed towards this neutral point, or completely opposite, right? Like women are told to be masculine and men are told to be feminine. Men are told, you know, like, you should really be more feminine. You should be more into your feminine side. Like you should cry a lot and you should be super expressive of all your emotions, and there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, every human needs to release emotions. Every human deserves to be able to express that. But when something could hurt their innate nature, does that make sense? Does it really serve men to cut off their masculine side and not lean into their drive, the masculine urge to accomplish things, to have purpose, to, I don't know, I'm not a man, so I'm trying to think of things off the top of my head, but the urge to, conquer an accomplishment, to succeed, to produce, to see the materialization of their hard work, whether that be in the form of money or a new product that they created, or solving some sort of problem. Can women do this? Of course they can. We see it. They can do it. Of course. But the thing is, and this is like so, what do you call it? Culturally incorrect? No, politically incorrect to say. I don't care. Why is encouraging men to okay, so let's say men operate best at 80% masculine energy, 20% feminine. Why are we encouraging them to go to 50% or 30% masculine and then 50 to 70% feminine? So now they are less in their masculine to actually be able to do the things that nurtures them. I don't know if nurtures is the right word, but fills them up, gives them energy, gives them life. And then for women, we are told that we need to do those things. We need to go produce. If we're not producing and we're not creating an income and we're not working hard and we're not getting, a PhD or a master's degree, we're not doing those sort of things. Oh, that's cool, but let's be a girl boss. Come on, let's hustle, let's outwork those men, let's compete. Let's compete with those men, right? Let's show those men who's boss. That's the mindset. And that's making us physically sick. That is making us physically sick as women. Do you know that we do not have as much testosterone as men? As much as we want to believe that we are exactly the same, physically, biologically, all that. I mean, if you can use one brain cell, you can realize that is not the case. We are not the same. Are we equal in value? Absolutely. But do we truly have, okay, let's think about it this way. I love to work out. I like to do bodybuilding workouts. I was on a carnivore diet for a while, solely meat, eggs, cheese, milk, stuff like that, animal products. I felt great, but I wasn't going to build muscle optimally without carbs. So I sacrificed a bit of, feeling my best 100% so that I could build some muscle and then eventually get carbs to the level that makes me feel the best after I have built the muscle. But I wanted to do this optimally. So when we think about, women can do this. We can operate in our masculine energy. We have that ability. But is it optimal? We don't have the testosterone that men have. That is, I'm not saying that testosterone is masculine energy, but if you equated it that way, wouldn't that be right? I'm kind of thinking on the fly here, but that would make a lot, that does totally equate. And so we are pushing ourselves past, maybe we burn through our, I don't know if this is scientifically correct. I'm just giving an example. Maybe we burn through our testosterone reserves in an hour each day. And then men, their hormones are on a 24-hour cycle. So their hormones are on the cycle that is the same every single day, every single day, every single day. They don't have monthly cycles like we do as women. At certain parts of our monthly cycle, as a woman, we have higher levels of testosterone. We have higher levels of estrogen at some point. We have higher levels of progesterone. We have different little mixes that are at different points at different parts of the month. That is not the same. It doesn't make sense. So, like I say, all of this is tied into dating and casual dating because we are meant to believe now, or we are conditioned to believe that we can go against everything that we have done in the history of humanity and that it is going to serve us now. But I would beg to differ. And I know I say, okay, well, the divorce rate is 50%. You know, that is not optimal. And I can say, well, it was less whenever we were doing marriages the more traditional way or dating the more traditional way. You didn't date someone unless you were interested in marrying them. Well, first of all, that takes out a lot of the confusion. You can't, like, this makes me so sad. This makes me so sad. Let me say this before I move on, is that, like I was saying, with building muscle and having carbs, like that is more optimal. So I'm going to eat carbs in order to build more muscle to make it more optimal for myself for the time being. Dating is not optimal when we are doing it the way that we are doing it now. And I think the statistics show that. And just the conversations that I hear, the gym that I work out in has a lot of young women, younger than myself, probably ages 18 to 23, let's say. And it makes me really sad. And it's very hard for me to keep my mouth shut whenever I hear conversations like this. Because, I'm getting emotional. I just see the old version of myself who wasn't told these things and who was seeking validation through being a girlfriend. And I just want to, like, I just want to, like, hug these girls and be like, please don't. And I don't want to say don't settle, because that sounds like such a high maintenance thing, and it's really not about that. But don't waste your valuable, precious, feminine energy even worrying about some guy who is not going to be your husband. Worrying about, I hear this girl talking about, oh, how, this guy, why won't he take me on a real date? And I'm like, babe, you must require that. You must require that. You must be ruthless about it. You must have, and this is what I talk about high standards. High standard isn't, oh my God, he needs to buy me a Mercedes to go on a first date with me. Okay, if you have that standard, that's cool, whatever. Have your own standard. I'm not telling you to lower them. But high standards is like, what do you require to access you? And you have the free will to figure that out for yourself, but require marriage. That is the optimal way. That is the optimal way. It's sad. And I also see the traumatic effects. There's a girl that, I'm very close with. I don't think that she'll mind me talking about this, but she played a voicemail on her phone for me from, she has a guy friend in her classes, and she played a voicemail for me that was on her phone. And it was a girl, I guess the girlfriend of the guy that she's friends with. And this girl was crying. She was calling her, and the girl that I'm friends with, she was not interested in this guy. So it wasn't like, any of that. But this girl on the voicemail was so traumatized because her boyfriend did not respect her to, not talk to other women or whatever the deal was. And it was just really, at the time, and I feel bad for even thinking this, but at the time I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's kind of embarrassing, you know, to hear that, but it's actually really sad. And then that comes to the point of like, okay, so if you're boyfriend and girlfriend, like, what are the rules, right? Because we're gonna get into it. How is it really adultery if you're not married? Now, I'm not saying people need to cheat on each other, absolutely not. But that's what I'm saying, is that that's so confusing, because your body thinks that you are soul tied to this person. Your body thinks that you're married. Like, your body knows no difference. And so when you get cheated on in a relationship, or when you break up, it is just as emotionally traumatic as it would be as a divorce. I mean, I assume divorce is more traumatic with, you know, children involved and having a long time together and such. But I'm saying just emotionally, the way that your body reacts, it doesn't know. Because this is such a new concept. How can our biology react to that? How can our brain chemistry even understand that? And so I believe it's called betrayal trauma. But this is something that, you know, I mean, it shouldn't be prevalent in a marriage either, but it's happening to men and women who were not in marriages, and completely traumatizing them, giving them trust issues that then they bring into another relationship, or ultimately the marriage, right? And so going back to what I was saying about, if it doesn't hurt other people, then, you know, I should be free to do what I want. But the thing is that when you hurt yourself, you do hurt other people. You can lie to yourself all you want and act like you are just this solo existing person in space who is not connected to anyone else. But I promise you, when I was anxious or depressed or dealing with, you know, some sort of trauma from past relationships, I wasn't able to show up for my friends. I wasn't able to show up for classes and do well in them. I wasn't able to contribute messages like this to the world. I wasn't able to uplift anyone because I was traumatized, unnecessarily so. And so this is something that I feel that I must spread as a message. And I do see more people talking about this now, and I'm really glad. But what I see a lot of is it starts to be blame towards women, blame towards men. It's a war against each other, and really that doesn't help anything. Both parties are responsible, but ultimately, if we as men and women start requiring a higher level of access to our energy, such as marriage, such as commitment to marriage, a lot of these problems would go away. A lot of these problems would go away. And the reason I actually ended up talking about this today is one of my friends, I love her. She's so amazing. I told her I was so nervous to talk about it, but I felt like I really needed to. I felt called to talk about this, and I felt that I could not put any more dating content, feminine dating content out there before talking about this, because this is the grounds. This is the foundation for understanding why feminine and masculine polarity is important in the first place. And we can get into how casual dating kills this too. But she told me that if you have the truth and you don't say it, you are basically lying. And so I had to say it. I had to say it. I couldn't be lying in that way by holding it back. And so please stop becoming a girlfriend. Stop becoming a girlfriend. I know that it feels good. It feels good, especially to feminine women, because we value relationships. We value relationships. And what I'm about to say is not a blame on men at all. I do not blame men for this whatsoever. So don't take it that way. But, okay, so the whole movement of, women's liberation or sexual liberation or whatnot was meant to benefit women, because now we have the freedom and we can take our, what are the words that are used? Autonomy over our relationships, over our bodies, over whatever they're promoting. And all that did was make it easier for men to get what they want, right? Like I said, this is not a blame on men at all. Men are, we can go into the whole, evolutionary part of this, but men are wired to expend the least amount of energy to achieve the result they want. I mean, that is efficiency. And that's a good thing. But when it comes to dating, that instinct kicks in. And so why would men be committing to women in marriage if they don't have to? And so as a collective, now obviously there are very conscious men out there that value their energy to where they only want to be with someone in a marriage as well. And so that's amazing. But as a collective, women do set the standard for what is tolerated. Women set the standard for, and this is on an individual level, but we also make this on a collective level. If, 75% of women would not allow access to their energy without marriage, then most men would understand that. They would understand that because men value, the masculine men out there, they value family, they want a wife, they want to pass on their genes as well. And so if that is how they had to do it, then that is what they would do. We don't give men enough credit. Like, they will do what needs to be done to get the result. And as women, we set those standards. And I would like to argue that, I think this is obvious. Men respect women more whenever we do not tolerate BS. Right? Anyone does. When you can't walk all over someone and they require more to access them, and they require you to rise up to their level to access them, you respect that person. You respect that person a lot more. And so we're being tested. We test men too, but we're being tested. What is the minimum requirement for me to access you? And the only reason that we are not setting, and this is what's very sad, the reason that we are not setting those requirements higher is because we don't believe that we can. Society has devalued a woman's self-worth so hard. And I'm a victim of this too. That's what I'm waking up to, especially in the past few weeks. I'm a victim of this too. I'm not sitting here preaching to you like I have overcome this and I am so perfect. Absolutely not. But society has devalued you in multiple ways. But the biggest thing that I can see is telling women that they should value their sexual energy, value their feminine energy, value their desire to be a wife and a mother much, much, much less than they should value their career. Then they should value their ability to produce, and that they should value their ability to get a degree in science or math. The more feminine jobs or degrees are made fun of, humiliated. If you just want to be a mom, you're seen as less than. Oh, you just want to be a mom? Well, I work and I'm a mom, right? Awesome. Great. So I actually find myself having a hard time explaining this to people. It started to infuriate me, but now it just makes me sad. When I go places with my husband and they ask me, oh, okay, so the first questions I get asked, do you work? Or not even do you work? Those are the smart people ask me those questions. Do you work? Do you work? Those are the people where I know I can have a deeper conversation with them. But other people ask, do you work here? Where do you work? What do you do for work? That's the first question that they're asking. And I don't know if maybe I should not be as annoyed about that question. It did trigger me for a while because I just, really? What? Why do I'm sorry, do I give off that vibe that I'm just this masculine go-getter? I think that's why it triggered me a little bit, but I'm still trying to comprehend my own triggers around that question. But it's just me seeing this societal, like that's what people think that women want to be asked. That's how people see that this is equality, right? No, do you not see my husband? He's the go-getter. He's the masculine provider. And I love that. I appreciate that. That is the most attractive thing I could ever think of. Yet, we've been conditioned to no longer truly respect the feminine in women and the masculine in men. So, there's really just, I could be here for 2 hours talking about this. But enough about the problems. What is the solution? So I will mention the main problem again quickly so that we can go into the solution. But the problem is that women have been conditioned to value career over their feminine energy. And so women don't even know that they're allowed to require marriage unless they're religious already or that was already in their culture. But typically American westernized women are not, aren't even conscious of the fact that they can value that or that they can be valued for valuing that and for their feminine energy. This is something I actually get my clients to do, is write down their resume and then shred it. Because they bring their resume to the dates. They think that that is how they're supposed to impress a man. Oh, I can pay half the bills. Please, 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 choose me. Please, validate me. Validate all the hard work I've done. Validate what, like, oh, to a masculine man, like my career doesn't matter? My degree doesn't matter? How much money I make doesn't matter? Wait, masculine men value my femininity? Value my feminine energy? They don't ask me to make a checklist of what I bring to the table? They value my feminine presence and how it uplifts their life? They value the fact that I want to be a mother? And they value the fact that I don't want to pursue a career and I want to stay at home and be taken care of? Oh, that's an eye-opener for anyone I work with. And that we've been brainwashed. We've been completely brainwashed. And so the solution is you have to dismantle the feminist brain. I'm not going to blame it on feminism. I'm not going to blame it on men. I'm not going to blame it on whatever we like to blame it on. But I am going to say you have to dismantle everything that you have been taught. Everything that you have learned to get triggered at towards men. You have to release that. There is... let me gather my thoughts. There's definitely something else I wanted to say about the fact that women do not even value their own feminine energy. But hopefully it'll come back to me by the end of this video. But for the benefit of men and women, and for your future children, and for the entire society as a whole, I urge you to do the inner work on yourself, on any sort of trauma from past relationships, from a dynamic that you saw in childhood from your parents growing up that maybe didn't give you the best view of marriage. That's what it was. Okay, came back to me. Definitely do the inner work. But, okay, so this is something that, you could have agreed with me all the way up until this point in the video. And you could say, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I know. It's a struggle. It doesn't work. But what is the alternative? Because now we get into, even if women have broken through the delusion, the matrix of, okay, well, I see that boyfriend and girlfriend doesn't work. Casual dating doesn't work. Hookup culture does not work. It is damaging. It is not empowering. So what about the risk, right? This is something I hear all the time. Well, it's interesting enough is that I only hear this in comments. I never hear this with I typically get an up-leveled consciousness or I only work with an up-leveled consciousness of students in my private coaching. But this is what I hear in the comments. So this is a little bit of not to say this in a mean way, but just a lower consciousness of question, and that's okay. So women are like, okay, well, marriage is really risky. What if I get cheated on? What if how can I depend on a man how can I depend on his income? That's really scary for me because if I don't have my own income, I can't leave and da-da-da. Okay. First of all, this is why it's very important for us to be teaching this to young girls. I'm talking 6 years old and up. What does a healthy man look like? Hopefully they have a father figure in their life, or a brother or an uncle or a grandfather who shows them this. But this is why it's so important to teach that, because yes, that is really risky to get married if you have no clue what a healthy masculine man looks like. I'm not saying physically, but what are the actions that he does? What are the attributes? What are the characteristics that he has? How do you see those green flags? Then it is risky because it takes inner work to recognize that. It takes a mentor, a feminine mentor, to tell you what to look for. My clients have no clue. I had no clue. Even though I did have a good father figure, I didn't know because I wasn't explicitly taught. And also I was surrounded by friends, by people, in high school and college who were participating in casual dating and whatnot. I mean, I was too, but in the boyfriend and girlfriend dynamic. And so this is why, it's so important to teach that, because it is risky. It is risky. But this is the risky part. The risky part is to, of course, there's a risk that you could potentially be cheated on. There is a risk that, any of that could happen. But that doesn't stop people from getting into hookup situations. That doesn't stop people from being a boyfriend and girlfriend. You can be cheated on as a boyfriend and girlfriend. I mean, technically, like, you are single under the law until marriage, but I'm saying you still experience that betrayal in a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. So how is that less risky to put yourself in those situations than to value yourself so much that you do not allow anyone access to your energy, to your feminine energy, until marriage? Because someone who values you for that and respects you for that is typically not going to be the type of man who, like, he's going to see cheating on someone as wrong, right? And I think that we also think that being cheated on just like happens, which I'm sure it does. And I'm sure that there are manipulative people out there. But maybe I'm naive. I don't think I am, because I have been coached extensively on this topic, as well as coached students on this topic as well. That is a symptom of something else. And whenever you have that masculine and feminine polarity in a relationship, and you actually know how to have a healthy, functional relationship, that lowers the risk of something like that happening a lot. That really lowers it, if not almost completely eliminates it. And so we are seeing marriage as something riskier, which I would like to argue it is not riskier for women. I would like to argue that it is actually riskier for men. And also, why does being provided for by a man mean that you don't have an income, don't have a savings or investment account, are apparently incapable of making money? What? No. And now women are thinking, okay, so if I make money, then how can I even justify a man providing for me? This society is plagued. It really is. How come just because you have that, you're suddenly disqualified from being provided for? A man wants to provide for you. A man wants to provide for you. A masculine, healthy man wants to provide for you. This is very eye-opening for many people, is that you can have your own income. You can have it. And you can still allow him. It's about allowing him to provide. You are paying to be in a relationship if you are doing 50-50. You are paying to be in a relationship with that man. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole dynamics and stuff like this in this video because it'll be way too long, but just think about that. And so to me, I cannot wrap my head around how being protected under the spiritual confine of marriage, the even legal confine of marriage, could be more risky than giving your energy away for free, giving away intimate access to you, to people who are not by any means committed to you. But apparently that's empowerment, and marriage is prison. I don't know. Is that what you think now? Do you agree with that now, after listening to this? I always want the best, or this is my goal for myself and anyone that I work with or anyone who listens to my videos. The goal is to create the best dynamic and situation for both the man and the woman in the relationship. The most optimal, where he is operating in his masculine energy and fulfilling himself the most in that sort of purpose. And then she is able to flow in her feminine and finally feel that like relaxed, safe feeling in a marriage. That feeling that we are searching for when we are becoming girlfriends, when we are lowering ourselves to being in situationships. Is that the name for them now? That's the feeling you're searching for, and you don't even realize it. You don't even realize it. I really don't have any more words to immediately say right now that I can think of on this subject. I was going to come on live and do this, but I got way too nervous. So please leave a comment down below if this was helpful, if you would like to hear more videos like this, because it's actually infuriating to hear the girls in the locker room of the gym that I go to have absolutely no idea and no one to guide them. And it's really sad also to see women who I'm closer to, who are also still younger than me, not value their feminine energy. They are putting it on the back burner. They are putting their natural feminine desires of entering into marriage, of having children. They're letting fear just strip away an experience from them that they could have. I don't want to say earlier, because I don't necessarily think that is always the right thing for everyone. But in the sense of putting it off to make sure that you get into your masculine energy and burn yourself out first in your career before you enter a marriage, it doesn't make sense. And I'm going to share something that is vulnerable in the sense of I'm very glad that I had this experience, but some people could definitely see this as a negative thing. I actually don't care. So I am so grateful and happy that I've never worked in a corporate environment. And I am so thankful, because I think that, like, I tend to be a pretty competitive person. So I just think it really would have, I think it could have put me in a point of no return with my masculine energy. And I think that could have really been damaging to my health, to any sort of relationship that I would want to have in the future. Like, I am so glad that I don't have to do the inner work to get me out of that. I'm not saying that if you're in a corporate environment that you that you can't be feminine. That's not what I'm saying. You absolutely can. Like, if you're super self-aware of this and you know how to balance that, and you know how to balance your feminine masculine energy, like, that's amazing. Goals. For me, I can balance it within my business, but if I were to be in a corporate environment, I don't know if I'd be able to. And so I'm very thankful for that. I'm very, very thankful and glad that I somehow found feminine energy and good internet role models, and now friends who think this way and value these things. I'm so glad that I found that early in my life. And so that's why I make these videos, because I just can't sit still and be quiet about it. I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there living this dynamic, but there's a lot of people who aren't. And there's a lot of people struggling with it. And so this is really, really important to listen to. Obviously, I'm biased because I'm the one that's saying it, but listening to this from other people changed the trajectory of my entire life. And I know that you can just hear this and think, wow, you know, that's something to think about. That's an interesting perspective. Okay. Maybe it plants a seed in your brain that's going to grow, and maybe in a few months you'll start acting on this information and your self-worth will start to grow, and you will stop submitting to the, like, I don't know if it's even a cultural thing, but it's the societal norms. See, what's interesting is, I'm going to keep rambling for a minute, but what's interesting is that the whole, I really don't want to get political here, but the whole left-leaning narrative is go against societal norms and break those. And that's how you'll be happy. Because societal norms, confine you and whatnot. But now we're at a point that, I guess the societal norms that they're talking about, those more traditional ones, are broken. And I just don't really see that working out very well. Now, I don't think that everyone wants the exact same things to be happy. I don't think that you have to be religious to have a traditional relationship with these roles. But I want you to look at them as more of energetic roles, not like, oh, I'm a girl, so I cook and clean. And I'm a boy, so like I do this certain thing, right? Now, these may work in your relationship, and that's great. I respect that. But they may not work exactly in that way. And that's okay, But whenever I say now, break the societal norms, it's like, go against casual dating. Say no to hookup culture. Go against devaluing yourself for quick validation, because that's all it is. There was a lot of, I don't know if I can honestly say this on YouTube, but there's a lot more behind movements such as the sexual revolution. Is that what it was called? It's like the liberation, whatever that movement was back in like the 60s and 70s. There's a lot more behind those things than you realize. It's not just this nice little movement to liberate people. There's agendas behind things like this. There are economic agendas behind things like this. And so just understand that these are not always in your best interest. They're not. They're not. If we even look at, I believe the statistic is that, you know what, I'm going to look it up real quick. It's like 40 or 60% obesity rate. I think that's like 30 to 40% obesity rate in America. 69% are overweight or obese. 69% of Americans are overweight and obese. Yet, we apparently have the most nutritional knowledge that we have had ever today. How is that working out? How is that working out? Making meat in factories, or putting chemicals together and calling it freaking vegan meat. Super healthy, right? Using seed oils instead of butter. Super healthy, right? Even though whenever, we ate normal foods, the obesity rate was like 10%. Or no, I believe that was like the overweight percentage. Not even obese, because overweight comes before obese if you're, into like nutritional definitions and whatnot, but how is that working for you? You have to understand that these movements to break social norms and such have economic interests. They have economic interests, and that is not some sort of conspiracy. It is true if you actually look into all of it. And so understand that these are not in your best interest. They're not in the interest of you to thrive. They're not in the best interest for you to have an amazing, loving relationship filled with polarity. Most of these things have proven over the years to destroy relationships, to destroy our self-worth, to destroy marriages, to destroy polarity, to make women believe that they have their self-worth lies in competing with men, to make men believe that they are not valuable for being masculine anymore. And so, why do we feel so unsafe? I think, you can ask most Americans, which I don't live in fear, so I cannot say this for myself, but a lot of people feel unsafe. A lot of women feel unsafe around men. I would bet, I would really bet on this, is that if you went back and in the early 1900s, before all of these movements, if you ask women, like, do men make you feel safe or unsafe? I just bet that their minds would immediately switch to their father, their brother, their husband, just men that they interact with potentially daily at the store, or, some man in their community. And they would think, no, these men would protect me. They would help my family be provided for if something were to happen to my dad or something to happen to my husband. These men were masculine. They were in their masculine energy. Now, I'm not saying everything was perfect, but it wasn't this unsafe feeling, because now that men are being encouraged to be more feminine instead of masculine, now we feel unsafe. Do you see how this adds up? Do you see what is happening here? Now we feel unsafe. Because now it's like, well, what happens if something is happening to someone? Do men stand up and go and help that situation? Now, I would hope so. I live in Texas, so yes, for the most part, men still do those things. But I've heard stories that in other parts of the country, in other states, in other, less traditional areas, that doesn't happen. Because women are seen as, of course, equal in value, but seen as, oh, well, they're equal now, so, I've even heard men joke about this, like, well, it was horrible. I actually hated this joke so much. It was like equal rights and equal lefts or something. And I think it was referring to, like, if a woman hit you, would you, like, hit her back or something? And I was just disgusted, honestly, hearing that. Which, obviously, why, let's not attack anyone here. I don't think that that's right either. But it's just this whole outlook on, has this really served us? And I can say 1,000% confidently that in dating and in that dynamic, no, it absolutely has not served us to lower ourselves and lose that feminine self-worth. Now, I'm not saying that it was perfect before, but now we have the chance, and now we do have the free will and the freedom to choose to reroute our lives and date differently. Even, like I was saying earlier, you could listen to this and you're like, oh, that sounds nice, but, like, not for me, because I already have a boyfriend and I love him, and so if I got out of it, it'd be super painful, and, like, I just can't do that. Babe, you can. Babe, you can. You can. I cannot say it enough. You can. You must. Now, I'm not saying it has to be today. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, but you must value yourself more. If you were listening to this video, you found this video for a reason. And you are being called to raise your standards, I don't even want to say raise your self-worth, just recognize it. Recognize your worth as a woman. That it is not to be a girlfriend. It is not to date casually. Recognize your worth as a man. You are so much more than a boyfriend. You are so much more than a boyfriend. You are so much more than trying to seek validation through casual dating as well. We're both responsible, and we both continue to do this. You are hurting your brothers and your sisters. You're hurting them, and you're hurting yourselves. As you hurt yourselves, you hurt your brothers and sisters. So please, I know that we're not motivated to do things for other people. We are motivated to do things for ourselves. So if something in this video triggered something for you where you cannot ignore it anymore, then don't ignore it anymore. Don't try to push it down. It will come up eventually. And I hope that is not after you have spent 2, 3, 5, 7 years with someone who is not committing to you. And for men, I would say it is likely damaging to be dating a woman who is not interested in marriage, especially if that is what you want. That is a waste of time for both parties. Please stop dating people based off of your chemical reactions in your brain. If you're not ready to get married, then just focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. Now, there may be a way to practice dating for marriage where, you're just going on dates and getting the hang of it. But dating does not equal mating. And I don't know if most people have enough self-discipline to go about that the right way if they've been raised in a Western society and that they are not ready for marriage yet. So it's not men's empowerment, it's not women's empowerment to date like this, and I want better for all of us, and I could not sit back and not say anything any longer. But I know most of my viewers who are already on this channel do agree with this, and most, 99% of the women who follow my channel want to date for marriage, want to be the most feminine version of themselves and be with a man who is in his masculine provider, protector energy. And so if this is reaching a new audience and you have never been here before, then I want this to provoke some thought. Or even if you've been following me for a while and you're like, I have a boyfriend, I'm feeling called out, like, what do I do? There's no need to rush anything, but it pains me to see another woman devalue herself in that way. And so I just want to bring awareness and hopefully spark something within you. And because it turns into a domino effect. It turns into a domino effect where when you embody this energy, your friends see it, your sisters see it. And especially when men lead with this energy, that changes everything. When both women and men lead with this energy, that changes everything. And so if you think in any inkling of a thought that you do not vibe with the current dating culture, that you can see where I'm coming from, please set the example for your brothers and sisters. please do. Okay. I have a coaching call coming up, so I can't ramble on any longer, but this is really, really important. And I hope that you see the importance of it. I love you. I will see you in the next video. And yeah, I have nothing more to say, but I will leave my courses linked below if you're looking for assistance on if you've made the decision to date for marriage. I do have a course on that, so Divine Feminine Dating. At the time you're seeing this, I have probably already uploaded all of the new modules in that, so it's super updated. It is, I mean, everything I talk about in this video is like the tip of the iceberg. I go super into depth, and I basically teach you how to date exactly the opposite of how you've been taught, and keep it very raw and real for you. I don't hold anything back. So if that's what you're interested in, definitely go below for that. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Much love.